Representative Bazemore. I have, um, I ran for this office in 2016 and I got elected. And I have been working hard for the city of South Fulton, Union City, College Park, Fayette, and Clayton County. Up until last year, this year rather, when they changed all the districts, I am now not in District 63, but in 69. They took away, I have Union City still, but they took away College Park and they took away Clayton County. They gave me more of the city of South Fulton, which I can say I helped to create. 4 years in, uh, sweat and tears and money and energy, and just helping to make sure that we can write our own destiny and we can be successful in a city of our own. So one of the things that I do that would affect the city of South Fulton, when I heard 4 years ago, the First Lady Marty Kemp say that she wanted to take on human trafficking, I knew right away, especially with having College Park and the busiest airport in my district, and 4 ways on and off that on and off ramp and over 30 hotels in College Park, that we needed to have a voice. We needed to make sure those resources were also given to us. And so I partnered with her 4 years ago, and we have been working on this issue with mayors, surrounding mayors, with the district attorney, with the sheriff, and all of the law enforcement, been working with everybody, and the superintendent of schools. So that issue is near and dear to me. I went to the First Lady and I said to her, you know, when you're in the airport, and I'm sure you all walk through the airport and you hear this announcement, maybe, if you see something, say something and do that. Let me tell you something. I'm trying to get to my flight, to my gate, not be late. And on the way back, I'm trying to get to my bags. So I said, we need a PSA. And we need somebody that people recognize quickly and will stop and listen to. So what morphed out of that was I also pulled in the mayor of Atlanta, because when he came to the chamber and he found out about it, he was excited. I had a meeting already set up with the First Lady, and I said, well, it's going to affect Atlanta Airport, so come on. So we got the mayor of Atlanta is on there, the First Lady, and I'm sorry, but the governor jumped in, which he has never before, but he jumped in on the PSA. I'm on there, and Tyler Perry. So we unveiled that, and that should be playing now as we speak in the airport. The other part of that is I'm also in discussion. I don't know why this is flickering. I'm also in discussions with Delta Airlines to make sure we get it on the airline information segment when you have to sit there and listen. So just trying to be innovative and trying to attack this issue from many different perspectives. And if you all have any suggestions, I am more than willing and open to use those means. So I sit on several different committees. I sit on Human Relations and Aging. I sit on Intergovernmental Coordination, Natural Resources and Environment. I sit on Governmental Affairs and Small Business Development. So we have introduced several bills, and I've introduced bills. The problem is, and I know a lot of people that may not understand the processes, may not understand why a lot of Democrats have not been successful with getting their bills across the finish line. It's because the Republicans have the numbers, therefore they are in control of the House and they are in control of the Senate. Similar to what happened when President Obama was in, and now when the House is under the rule of the Senate. So any bill has to go through committees, and then they have to be voted on in both chambers. So if either chamber votes it down, then the bill is dead. So that's what has happened a lot for us. And we've had bills die that are really good and that would benefit our constituents. One thing though, I want to back up because I want to talk to you about, I know the Charter Commission was created to allow for any a fresh look, fresh pair of eyes after being the city being up and running at the 5-year mark. And so they did do that. A lot of what we did get back from the Charter Commission were things that the city council could do themselves. There's a such thing as home rule. And so there was a lot that we decided that they could just take on themselves and we didn't have to take on. Excuse me. And then, as you know, we had a death and Tish was actually the secretary on our delegation. And so things just stood still for a minute after that, unfortunately. But we do have next year. So anything that was given to us that we can deal with, we will be able to deal with next year. We also, I know one of the requests from the Charter Commission is that the Charter Commission stays in place and is yearly. However, just to educate you on how the process was working before and going forward, every year, we as a delegation, we send a letter to the city, the mayor and the city manager, and we request any legislative priorities that they may have, the department heads, the city manager, the city council, whomever in the city, and ask them to send it to us. And then once we do get that information, we sit down, and this is every single year. And that means that constituents can be involved in that process. You just have to let your city council person know that this is an issue that you would like for them to add to the legislative priorities. Then we sit down as a delegation and we then discuss, because sometimes you may not know what's legal, what's not legal, what's going on, who the opposition is, but we will find that out. And so sometimes we will take it on, and sometimes we know that it's going to get defeated if we even bring it up. So those are the conversations that we have. And then what we do is we just go around the table and ask who would like, based on experience or just a desire, who would like to take on which legislative priority. And then at that point, a letter should be drafted to explain or give information about which legislator is working on what piece of legislation. And like I said, this year, we really had a lot going on with the death of Tish. It was a lot of mourning and a lot of issues going on. And I'm not sure if you know now, we had, before redistricting, we only had 6 legislators that represented any portion of the city of South Fulton. With redistricting, we now have 9 House members, but we still have 3 senators. So hopefully, and they're new, a lot of them are new, but we're going to sit down and make sure that we give them as much information And let me back up, because they are intelligent. When I tell you these people, they know what they're doing. We already trained them prior to them coming aboard. And that's not something that normally happens. When I came aboard, I did not get all the training, months and months of training prior to the session starting, but they have been given that opportunity. I'm really happy, because we need the help. So we will be going forward on those issues. And Councilman, did you want me to allow questions, or do you want me to go into some of the bills that we?
You can answer a few questions, but I do have one. And so when going back to the charter and the commission, there are a lot of things that we can do as a city ourselves, but there are some things that are only the state can do. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So what is an example of some of the things that only the state can do that we, the city council, cannot?
So certain things in the charter cannot be changed by city council. We have legal, I know you probably know that we have a team of lawyers. So let me give you an example. About one year I had a bill, and what I was just explaining is that before we could put a bill on the agenda to be voted on or do anything, we have to allow it to be vetted. And that means it has to be read twice. Then then the Speaker of the House will assign it to a committee. And that committee then will have the bill heard in committee, and you have to go and present the bill and say why you want the bill, okay? Those individuals that are on that committee will then say yay or nay. So it will either pass out or won't. And then it follows the process through. Then you have to go to rules, and then it has to get on count. So something similar to that early on is what I crafted to have done in the city. So what happened was, once I asked the lawyer to craft the bill, he then sent it back to me, but with a letter on top. And he said to me, this is under home rule. So, and he was just advising me. So this is home rule. They can make a change. They can change it back. So when I saw that, I said, I have a lot of work to do. I don't need additional work. It's beneficial. So what I did though, was I said, okay, I am not going to introduce this bill. What I did was I picked up the phone and I called the mayor and I said, I have this bill. I was advised that this bill, this could be done by home rule, by you all. I'm going to send you what I have, all the verbiage, and you can do with it what you will. So those are some of the things we find out from Ledge. We call it Ledge Council. We find out from them that either we have the right to change and you all don't, and vice versa. So,
but
when in doubt, go ahead.
Absolutely. I did have one suggestion, is that because this is our Constitution and we can't just pick and choose every time the wind blows, that it just stays fixed like this for the next 5 years, unchanged. Like there cannot be any changes by either side for the next 5 years. But I don't know if that made it or not. But however, I did make the suggestion. But so, because it's the idea of this being our Constitution, I think we should hold true to that. And but however, we do know times change, so things do need to be updated. But that's all I have. But the floor is open to anybody who has questions for State Representative Debra Bazemore, District 69.
Okay, let me address that because I don't want to leave it hanging out there. So I don't know if you all are aware, every single year when we go to the Capitol, there is something called the calendar. The calendar is local calendar. There are changes to everybody, I mean, all across the state. There are changes made every single year to charters. So this is not unique to the city of South Fulton. And the reason there are changes is because there are issues that are brought up, there are things that are seen that were missed, or the intention was not spelled out enough. So there are a gamut of reasons why charters are changed. And so again, we are not the only ones that submit charter changes. One time there was like 2 pages of changes to local charters. And then what normally happens is that since it's local, we try not to get into local legislation because we don't live there. We don't know what's going on. We don't govern. So we vote yes for someone's local legislation. So that's what normally happens.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for that explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Have questions? Oh, and by the way, District 69, there's a certain condominium on Highway 279 that sits in that district as well. And so that will be Camelot. And so, and I'll be working with Sister Bazemore from the state now on how we are addressing Camelot. So this is me, her, and my other colleague, Dr. Natasha Williams. And so we are doing things that's going to be necessary and beneficial. So if you ain't heard from either one of us, then I'm just going to let you know that it's because it is my district, but I recognize that, you know, I do need assistance. I'm not going to be able to get this done by myself, and we're going to need help at the state level. And it just so happens that this is the representative, and I appreciate all her hard work so far to date on that effort.
And I will definitely work
with
with
HOA.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was saying somebody had to hand up fail with HOA.
I see. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you doing today? I see that they closed down the hotel right there at 285 and Old National because they was trafficking out of there. They closed it down today.
So is that right after you said 285?
Yeah, right there at 285 and Old National, right there when you come off and make that right.
So let me tell you this. I'm glad that you said that, because what we have done in the conversations that I've had when I've had those individuals in the room is that the mayors, especially College Park, that's in College Park, that they will make sure that they find these hotel owners, because they are well aware what is going on, and they were just taking the money, they were enjoying the money and turning a blind eye. So we have said we need to come down hard on them, and that's what was suggested to those mayors to make sure that they comply. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And if not, I'm going to go. You see any, council? I just want you all to know too that I work very well with the council people that overlap in my district. And if you did not know, 5, 6, and 7 overlap in my district. So I do have those individuals, and I work very closely. I respect individuals that have those districts, and we try to work together. And I don't know if you all are aware or you get my newsletter, but worked with Councilwoman Natasha Williams when we did not have, you all did not have representation in District 7 yet. And I don't know how many of you know that I live off of Bethsaida and 138. And Mario came out there when I had the site visit initially. And then I had some town hall meetings with the officials from GDOT and everything. And we went out there and we discussed what remedy would be best for that area. And I am so happy to report, especially, I don't know if you saw the press conference that we did together, but I am so happy to report that there are lights up right now. They're not functioning yet. And as soon as they are, you all will know about it. But I thanked those from GDOT for working closely with me over the last several years to get that accomplished.
And Representative Bazemore, I definitely wanted to chip in. I actually had my hand raised to give you kudos for all of your hard work in bringing that traffic light, because we know all of the, death and devastation that has happened at that intersection. And I definitely just want to applaud you for all of your hard work for getting that done, because we could not have done it without you. That is just facts. So I definitely want to applaud you for getting that and all of the work that you do for the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. I appreciate it. And for those of you that don't know, that is a state highway. And that's why it was imperative for me to be involved and to push another state agency that falls under the guise of the state to make sure we get it done. I know when we had the other light on the other end of Bethsaida and Old National, and I used to watch the turns and almost got hit myself several times. And I had the engineers come out and survey and look at it. And that's why the signal lights now are changed. They've been like that for a little while, because there's no excuse when it comes to the lives of our constituents and our citizens. So yes, I will work hard for you and do that. But I was going to say, I did have Councilwoman Natasha Williams out, and we worked together on it, and I invited her out, and she invited her constituents and mine also to come out so that they could be a part of it, and I greatly appreciate that. So let me, and stop me, Councilman, if you see any hands up. Let me talk to you about some of the bills. So again, it goes back to what I was saying about the Republicans have the numbers and we don't. We continue to fight. Ever since I got in the General Assembly, we have been fighting for Medicaid expansion. And they keep saying no. And now they're doing a voucher, Medicaid voucher, to try to say we are doing something here you go, throwing some crumbs. But in fact, if they had expanded Medicaid, a lot of these hospitals that are closing in the rural areas, and the one we saw, Atlanta Medical, Wellstar, would not be happening. Because that would be an avenue for these hospitals to get paid. Something is better than nothing. And they had to service indigent patients. So, and we thought it quite interesting how Wellstar shut down, did not keep the emergency room open as they promised, but they went up north and spent billions of dollars and expanded up there. So that was one thing that we were not able to get across the finish line. And in addition, I know you heard last year that we had this big celebration and attention put on the mental health bill, and it was excellent. Everybody, bipartisan. This year, they cut some of that money. Also, I don't know if you heard, there is, starting April 1st, there was the Medicaid redetermination. And that means because during COVID, there were many people, most everybody was allowed to be put on Medicaid because of the pandemic. Now the state has to determine if you are still eligible. So this is going to be a long process, and there's going to be 2.7 million Georgians that are going to be affected. And they have to get that information in. They have to prove that they're eligible to stay on and get healthcare. I don't understand how we can always tout that we are the #1 state to do business, but we are not the #1 state to care for our children and our citizens. Because they continue to cut human services in the budget also. You might have heard that you all will be getting tax refunds. Single person, $250. Head of household will get $375, and married people will get $500 if, in fact, you filed in 2021. If you had not, you will not be receiving that money. And I think that's a nice gesture from our governor. However, we have billions of dollars in the reserve. When it was needed and people were not getting their unemployment checks, I had 2 individuals that I know of were owed over $9,000, but we did not tap into the reserve or the rainy day fund. It was raining. It wasn't just raining, it was pouring. But no one went in there to help those individuals that were living in storage units, living in their cars, losing their houses, losing their everything. They just lost. They couldn't buy groceries. Some of us went in our pockets and gave, because that's how bad it was. But we have billions of dollars for a rainy day fund.
Well, Sister Bazemore, let me just say this.
Sure.
You give me 500 million and I can show you how much we can make it rain, make a change and make a difference. As I hate unused money. That's, that goes towards the things that we need specifically. So
yes,
we look forward to, that's why we have relationships at that level, so that we can work together and get funding, because it does exist, people.
Yes.
And hey, it's after all this shit, your money, just reinvest it.
That's right.
Next, anybody have anything else?
I saw something pop up from the chat. Is somebody monitoring the chat? It's about the trains that hold up. Yeah.
Stacks Road, Fairwood, and Mallory, right? It's let me ask you a question.
Yes.
When it comes to CSX, how long y'all been dealing with this, and what is the likelihood of us getting a light or stopping that train from blocking up the traffic, or the case may be?
So that therein lies the problem, is with them. And I saw recently that there was an issue where it was just stopped for most of the day in the Atlanta area. We have been having the discussions. We have been trying to negotiate. They say that they want to make it right. How is the question, and when? When is the bigger question? So that it has been on the table, and it's still on the table. And I'm sure when we go back in the session, that is going to be a big issue for us. So we will not stop until we get some resolution to that.
Absolutely. And they can help, and they can help real soon if they want to make it right, because there's some federal dollars for that specific purpose. As I'm not even on no stoplight, on no stop sign, no gate. As just we have to build a flyover bridge. It's right. They design some kind of bridge to go over or to go under, as we would have to get the air rights as well from CSX. So you have to purchase that. And I'll say that the time is now, because they're approved one in Union City for that big warehouse development. So if we can just piggyback right off of that and that design, they can make it right now. I mean, I'm with right now. I like right now. But however,
I know everybody likes right now. So, yes. Yes. So let's talk offline.
Yes,
and see, because I will contact the mayor of Union City and find out what they did, how they did it, and see if we can extend that to our area also. I see Sheila.
Absolutely.
She has a question. Unmute yourself, please.
Yes. My name is Sheila Brown, and welcome to our Monday, Councilman Reed's Monday call for District 5. Thank you for taking the time out for our questions. My question is, when you all are having your meetings, what type of conversations are you all having about homelessness? I mean, they just showed a report on the news earlier that in College Park, there's a hotel that will be closing down next week, and lady was just on the news earlier saying they didn't have nowhere to go. She would have to take her children and sleep in the car. And she said she'd been living in that hotel for 3 years. So they showed the hotel is like one floor. It's nothing but bicycles. So a lot of children in that hotel, and they have to be out about next week. And those poor people have nowhere to go. So is there conversations being held about homelessness and what are they talking about? The resolution or how they planning to resolve it?
So there has been, so let me say this, it's not funny, it's very disheartening that they had a bill this session that has passed that you cannot just drop off an individual that's homeless. Basically, they don't want you dropping off people in their neighborhood. They don't really care that they're homeless or whatever. And that was a contentious fight and discussion that we had on the floor and in the committee about that, because the perception is that everybody that's homeless is worthless and they don't want to work. And I mean, it was, the usual ignorant conversations and mindset. Unfortunately, let me say this. When I moved down here in 2005, I was looking, my daughters were looking for somewhere to live and I was looking for somewhere. We were over near Turner Field and looking at it, I'm like, no. And the lady said to me, oh, don't worry, they're getting ready to move all of these people out and it's going to be really nice. They're going to renovate it and everything. And I'm like, what? Where are they moving the people to? Well, they moved them to the south side. And what has happened, we do not have enough units to even supply of units for those that are working to obtain, because we have those investors that are coming from out of state. They are purchasing units up in different groups. So they're just purchasing them, throwing people in there. They're getting their money after 5 years, then they just let them go. This thing is so crazy because I sat on that study committee last fall, and the things that I heard were insane. They are driving up the cost. Even people that have vouchers cannot find a place because they have now become a monopoly, the investors, and they are dictating and driving the cost up. The last time we had the conversation, a home, the median home value price was, I think it was $342,000. If you are just not even making $15 an hour, there's no way that you could purchase a home. So it is across the board. I know that the governor said he wants to, this is one of his issues, he wants to put in houses and different things. He wants to do it in rural areas because that's where the companies are coming and setting up shop. And so they won't come unless their employees have somewhere to live. So that's really not going to affect us here. So the situation keeps getting worse and worse. And so how to resolve it? That is the question. There's so many variables to this thing and so many people that it would affect. It's difficult. And I know that some people had concerns about a bill that I had my name on, but both bills. And my objective was, after I sat on that study committee during the fall, and then we continued the conversation after the report came out, I said, okay, I knew I had to have a seat at the table so that my constituency would have a voice. And then I said, okay, I was asked to join in on to help sponsor the bill. So I said, okay, this way I can then go to the author and say, let me present a substitute. So when I did that, he was not willing to have a substitute. Then I came back to him and I said, well, let's put a sunset on what you have in this bill. He said, oh, okay, well, we might want to do that. He never got back to me. Therefore, I went to the clerk's office and took my name off the bill. The other bill, 514, would help move the needle forward. And the verbiage was changed by GMC, and I'm sorry, help me, help me. I'm having a senior moment right
Georgia
now.
Municipal Association, GMA.
Yes, GMA, thank you, I said GMC. GMA and GGC. And they brought verbiage, and that's the only reason why that bill moved forward out of the committee and onto the floor, because they brought verbiage that changed the bill that people were pretty much satisfied with, but the bill failed. So I know I went around the corner and down the street, but like I said, there's so many variables, and the individuals that have the majority do not have an appetite to help. So we have to think of some ways that we might be able to do something in our municipalities to help, because I'm telling you now, they don't care.
Well, see, I care, and please leave it up to me to just think outside the box, and because I do believe in cottage homes, and I also believe in tiny homes. I also believe in new housing choices, and there's even some container spaces that are livable, doable, and attractive to the end user, and so we can have little communities of that nature as well. So I'm all for it. If y'all have any land for land acquisition grants, please do let the city of South Fulton know, and we'll pass that to the appropriate party and go apply. And so to see if we can construct, and hey, maybe we could talk about doing something at Camelot.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan being created here.
Well, I'm just saying, that when I have Debra Bazemore here. Oh, and by the way, she said she stayed at Turner Field. Most people said, oh, wow. To a New Yorker, that's Grant Park.
The other thing is too that someone has introduced the fact that we can get like those igloo looking units for those that are homeless. And I can tell you that Representative Bruce is passionate about it, and he and I have been discussing this. But again, there's not an appetite for it. So we can try to do something, like I said, at the city level. I see.
Well, I'm ready. Is anybody on this call ready to help me at the city level?
Sound the alarm, Councilman. This is Chandra.
Sandra, how are you? Go ahead.
You took the words right out of my mouth as it relates to the tiny homes or cottage homes. I like the phrase cottage home better. And Representative, I wonder if those that you are seated at the table with when it comes to the cottage home concept, if they have an understanding, or if they are just saying no because it's you or others like you that are bringing that suggestion to their to the forefront. Has there been any data read as it relates to cottage homes and how you can truly create a small communal living, yet having a small if even a negative not even a negative impact on the environment as it relates to cottage homes, and using gosh, I hate to say it, but the storage unit, not like trailer, tractor trailer compartments, and reconstructing those for cottage home settings.
So to answer your question, yes. During that, we had several months and we had several meetings, and even after. And that was something that was brought up. We had everybody in the room. We had the realtors, we have the builders, we had everybody. Some of the issues were, and this is where some of the municipalities got up in arms, is that they wanted legislation to say, no, we don't need to have this type of house. We don't need to have this type of material to get houses on the market. We don't need to make sure the space is, so far apart from one another, different things. And that's where the municipalities had a problem, because you are stepping on their toes. So that was brought up. And what we found out also, you have your seniors that have purchased homes when they started out, and now they need to downsize. You have individuals that are just buying a new home and they want the bigger house. And then you have those that just want enough. So you have three different types of homes that are needed in the market, but we are not building, we are not making them because there are restrictions. There's zoning, there's restrictions on what material you have to use on the homes and different things like that. So yes, that was brought up. We talked to this issue to ad nauseum, we talked. And still, people were rejecting any type of resolution. I see Ulysses' hand up.
Yes, Representative Bazemore. Talk a little bit about the new gun law, the open carry gun law, the do's and the don'ts. Do I still need to buy a concealed weapon permit? Talk a little bit about that.
No, and that was not even this year. That was last session. The governor really believes that that was a good idea. And I don't know how many of you, I'm sure you all listen to the news, and every time we wake up, and we don't even have to go to sleep, we are hearing that there are killings all over Georgia. It seems to have increased because you don't need a permit. You don't need to apply for a permit to carry. And that's why you saw some of the events pull out of Georgia. And I believe, I don't know this to be factual, but I believe that's why the Democratic Convention chose not to come here, and they chose Chicago. So when you have so many people in one area, especially now that Trump is starting all over with his rhetoric. And there was a time when he, right after election, where he told his people to go to our houses to convince us to convince the governor to have a special session to take care of this. So it is quite dangerous. People they're serious. So now there's another bill that, which is to our benefit, that our names and our addresses and things will not be disclosed, because he's starting up again. And I don't think they're gonna come to on the old national corridor. So I feel pretty safe. But and I'm trying to make light of it, but it's not funny. It really isn't.
I
So
was gonna say, we'll welcome them at the Highway 279 corridor with stick shots. I'm just
that's what I'm saying. So, and I'm gonna tell you this, that I got from one of my New Yorkers, that she's a New Yorker too, and she's a state representative, and she told me that there were some Trumpers that went up there, and they figured they were gonna make noise and things, and they got the beat down of their life. And then they tried to report it, and the police would not even take the statement or anything, did nothing, and they left. So yeah, it's
So,
sad.
Could you clear this up for me?
Sure.
It's my understanding that the concealed weapon permit that I no longer needed in the state of Georgia, but on my license, there's 6 or 7 other states that recognize concealed weapon permit from the state of Georgia. If those states require a concealed weapon permit, but then it's beneficial that I continue to get the concealed weapon permit from the state of Georgia.
If you travel in and out on a regular basis, I would say, just so you don't have a problem, I would advise that. It's just not necessary here. Does that help? Okay.
Bellwood?
Yes.
Yes, Felwood had their hand up.
Okay, I want to talk about how Highway 29 is a state highway. So if you're getting on Spear 14 there and Highway 29, we have wrecks there every week. So I would like for you, it's as bad as Bersada and 138. There's a wreck there at least 3 times a week. So we need a light there. We have asked for lights.
Now tell me where is it again? What is it? Give me something that's near there so I can know exactly what you're talking about.
Before you answer, I want to piggyback with her. That's part of my comment. I just spoke to the GDOT representative that sits at Roosevelt Highway and Welcome All. And he stated that they have done several studies and there's not enough traffic in order to get a light at the Spur 14 is coming off of South Fulton Parkway onto Roosevelt Highway near the church. And he's saying there's not enough traffic to get a light or any kind of traffic measures to slow it down. So we don't know what more can we do if GDOT is saying it has to hit a certain level in order to get it.
And that would be correct. And that's why it took a minute for people thought we weren't doing anything about Bethsaida and 138. However, the studies take a little while because they have to make sure that they have enough data and enough information to make sure they can then justify putting a light somewhere. And if that's what he told you, did you talk to Mr. Denard or who? Somebody else might have that area.
It was him.
Okay, because I know he has District 7. So in his, for, the GDOT area. And yes, that is exactly correct. If there's not enough data, they cannot move forward.
Well, Sister Bazemore, let me just say this. I'm sorry, but I just fundamentally disconnect with that because I want to say this is how many fatalities at that one intersection account for the end of that traffic study. Because from what help me if I'm wrong, from what my understanding is, that's not a factor.
That's not what? Say that again.
A factor.
Not a factor. Okay. So it's not just fatalities. It is just like Tamika said, I think that was Tamika speaking. It is a culmination of and gathering of all the information, the traffic, the I don't know exactly every single piece of it, but I know that they have to do a complete study of everything on the road and what's going on. And if they have not satisfied the qualifications, then they're not going to do it. But what I would say is, I'm trying to think who is over that district, that area.
No, it's part of the North.
Huh?
It's part of the North.
No. I mean state legislator.
Okay. Oh.
Does it, Tamika, do you know which state legislator is over there? Because I would partner with, so I respect my my colleagues' district, and I try not to insert myself unless I'm assisting and unless I inform them that.
Well, ma'am, that was one Miss former Tish Nagisi.
Okay.
And so
Nagisi.
that's the district she's in.
Tish Nagisi. Okay. So after the election, I will partner with whoever is successful in becoming the representative, and we can address that issue. So please, I say again, please remind me, and I will definitely contact that person and we can work together. Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Chandra, do you have your hand up again?
Yeah.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure because sometimes people forget to lower it.
Well, no, I have my hand up again. So I would like for you to speak on how you are advocating for farmers, those of us in agriculture, especially considering the growing numbers of urban farmers within the city and surrounding areas.
So, good question. So there are several people that are in the legislature that is their passion. And I can tell you that I do sit, like I said, on natural resource and environment, and I have a connection with two people that are in the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And so one of the things is that I have invited that person down to come into the city of South Fulton and educate as much as possible and show. When I don't want to say that because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. Let me just say that I'm working with him to get him a meeting so that we can move forward. Okay. And I see Tamika has something in there. But to see, so we've been talking for several months and they had not been successful. So we are going to work towards that. And if they will already have, okay, so yes, yeah. Okay. So it looks like Tamika's saying that they came a few months ago. They're scheduled to come back in May. And so what I've asked also, because they go into the schools and they teach, and I don't know if you guys have seen this on the news where he was there, Arthur Tripp, Mr. Tripp, and they go into the schools and they educate the children. And so we know that we need to educate them so that they can be interested in farming also and preserving our foods and different things that we need going forward, because we're getting older and we're going to need another generation. And right now, what I'm doing is helping to pass bills that are beneficial. And I also have a connection with Congressman Scott, and that is one of the things he sits on. He is the chair of that committee. So we all collaborate together.
Okay. Well, I would appreciate you if you're able to put your contact information in the chat, and I would like to reach out to you personally.
Sure. And two, well, I won't go into that because that's long drawn out trying to get, and I just want everybody to know how to maneuver through the page that's available to everybody. I will give you my contact, but if you Google Georgia General Assembly, once that page comes up, you can find bills, you can find House members, you can find Senate members, you can find the bills that were signed, bills that were not signed. There is so much information out there. And there are also connections to different other departments that are not specifically legislators. And so you can click on those and find out information. Ag should be attached on there also. So I'm just saying, just go on and play with it a little while. If you can find out so much information.
Will do. Thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, Loretta.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for joining the forum tonight. We appreciate it. Hey, good evening, everyone. So I just want to go back to the traffic light. Thank you. I live right around the corner from Mercedes, right off Buffington Road. And I agree that coming down there is very congested. And my question to you would be, I just want to make sure I'm understanding and hear you clearly. The actual survey is based on more than likely the abundance of traffic that's in that area, but not necessarily including the deaths. Because I'm thinking if you have just one death, that should trump let's just be clear. We're talking about life here, but it doesn't seem that seems to be the option. It just depends on how much traffic is going and how much, is it affecting businesses in that point. So I'm just trying to understand. Do I hear you saying that death is not one of the options and it should be? I mean, that's just my opinion, but I just want to make sure I understand how you successfully get that light. And I do appreciate it though.
Not the only option, not the only qualification.
But you see, I'm just saying it should.
Yeah,
it shouldn't get to that point. But like I said, I do appreciate what you because it is definitely. I saw when I drove over the other day. I said, "Oh, we got a light over here."
Yes,
and but I was just curious about that. That's all. That was my concern.
Yes, thank you for the question, though. But like I said, we can still, even though that was the answer, we can still go to GDOT. When I say things like that, it's because what I said earlier. State legislators have a lot of influence when it comes to state agencies also. So it makes a difference when constituents might be calling and get a certain answer, even the municipalities. But when they get calls from state, and I'm gonna give you an example. So Rick Ross is planning on having his car show again. And there's a whole lot of murmuring and complaining and whatever. So my constituents in Fayette were upset. I got phone calls, I got stopped in church. I mean, the commissioner called me, I talked to the mayor, everybody, chief of police. And I called GDOT and I said, because my understanding was that the local municipality is going to shut down, the police are going to shut down a state highway, 279. I said, wait a minute, you can't do that. That's a state highway. It has to be GDOT and the Georgia State Patrol. So as a result, we all are coming together tomorrow to have a discussion. So I'm just trying to give you a sense of how things can change and move along when you do get your state legislator involved in whatever the situation
Okay, well, I'm glad you're on there because I live around the corner and I deal with that last time and it was not fun. And that's my detour to go to Fayetteville and come back. But when he had, and no, no, nothing against Rick Ross, and I get
Right.
that what he's trying to do, but I
Right.
think there should have been enough. It wasn't enough police and
No.
state trooper to kind of keep the traffic going. And I think that's, if nothing else, that would be my advice to them. Have enough of police out there and state troopers out there just to keep the traffic going, because it was definitely chaotic.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I got stuck in it. I was coming from one event on Riverdale, and once I got on the set, I could not move.
Yeah.
I had to call the chief of police and say, "Come get me."
Yeah.
I couldn't.
I was able to get out of it. So I understand.
Yeah.
I had got just in the heart of it, and I was able to detour. I had to go back around, Riverdale and come all the way around back to go home. But I totally understand the frustration. So just the only thing I ask.
This is my proposal. So, this is what I'm going to present tomorrow. In Riverdale, Union City, Fayette, and the city of South Fulton, because those are the 4 directions traffic is going to come from.
Exactly.
Mainly Old National. I said, we need to require him to have a shuttle location in each one of those cities, and then have buses or whatever, vans, I don't care what you use, to shuttle those people to his house.
I agree. That's excellent. I think that would be great. And the thing is, it's a lot of resource and a lot of parking that they could utilize for that one day. It could definitely be handled. I agree. So hopefully, I hope it's successful for him. I definitely not knocking what he's trying to do, but definitely we need to make sure we have that manpower.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Isn't it a code violation to park in the grass?
It is a violation, but where this problem starts is you shutting down a state highway for a personal event. You cannot do that.
Not no personal event, right?
Exactly.
It's at his house.
It's at his house, but that's the way people have to get there. But like I said, everything was, it was not moving at all. And I was one of the invitees as a representative over, where his house is and all the other houses. And it was horrendous. Horrendous. So
I was gonna say, did y'all see any of the nice cars?
I was up near his house. Yeah. I saw the cars and it was hot, and then I left.
So I'm gonna say no, because I realized exactly what's going on, because getting in was not gonna guarantee you getting out. So I was like, nope, I'll see it on the news and Facebook and whatever else, but I was not excited about that. That's all.
All right, so we're gonna move to, there's another question or a comment. Tamika, is that your hand still up, or you have?
No, it's a new one.
Okay.
Because normally we're wrapping up around 7:30, so you've come over a little bit longer, so we appreciate that you just staying here and taking time to talk to us. Sure. So I'll be your last question, and then if there's something else you want to talk about, then feel free.
Okay.
We often are asking residents to be more involved in government. So my question for you is there a day that residents can come up and tour the Capitol, or a day that they get to come and meet with you? Or is there any event like that we need to schedule for us to come up as a group? How do you want us to learn a little bit more about your level of government?
So we have a South Fulton Day every year. We had one again this past year. And what happens is all of those individuals that have a portion of South Fulton will come in. We have a designated area. There's usually a breakfast, and then sometimes at the freight depot is a bigger location, is the breakfast. And then people come up and then we take pictures, but we will stop in, senators and House of Representatives, and we will stop in and we will have a discussion at that time. Hopefully we can get it closer to the beginning of session, because once we get towards the middle and the end, we are so inundated that we may just run in for a few minutes and have to run out, and we have to be in our committee. And it's important for us to be in our committee because sometimes we are able to stop bills from moving forward if all of the Republicans are not in their seat. So that's what we do. We also have time where you can schedule a tour. So Alvin Reynolds contacted me and had some individuals from some teenagers from Banneker come up and do a tour. I was with them. We took pictures in the chambers. I explained some of the chamber, and it so happened that the speaker was still there. I asked him to come down and take a picture. He normally would not, but he did. Took a picture with us and greeted each and every person that was standing there. And as we walked through the halls, and I showed them different things and had different discussions with them. And then I had to run. So yes, we can do that. And now with 9 individuals that represent a portion of the city of South Fulton, I think you would get more information in a longer period of time. And for those of you that may not know, I talked about the delegation early on. So with helping with creating the city of South Fulton, getting the feasibility study done in the committee I was in, that allowed Representative Bruce to then introduce the bill to create the city, because without that, nobody knows if you're feasible. You have to have that. You can't move forward. But then, excuse me, then I saw the necessity of creating a delegation. And so I did create the delegation for the city. I was your chair for 2 terms, for 4 years. And now Representative Bruce is the chair and I'm the vice chair. So because we sit in those 2 positions, even though things are not in our district, we can handle issues that are in the entire city of South Fulton because we are the chair and vice chair of the delegation, and we're there to help you all.
Right now, Sister Bazemore, I know that was going to be the last question, but since you touched on that, I said, let me. Hey, so while we have it here, because this is, as they say, from the street committee, is that the delegation was proposing that 2 seats be at large on the council.
Oh, I am so glad
it
you
will have
brought
all
that
7 seats now, but 2 of them would be at large. Can you just speak to that?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up because that was down on my list to speak to too. So this was not the first time. When I was chair, this was brought to us, not formally, but it was asked of us. So what I did was I went to our reapportionment department and I said, please draw me a map so I can see how it would look if in fact we only had 5 districts and 2 at large. Once that map was drawn, I pulled Representative Bruce in the room and we sat down and got a review of what would take place. So that meant that, so let me back up because I think what transpired, what made that question come up and desire was that some people were upset that Old National had 3 people representing. So they wanted to do away with it. But that is not how you draw maps and how you redistribute constituents, because everybody has to have pretty much the same number of constituents. So when I saw the map, it would have put Councilwoman Carmelita Gomes and Councilwoman Helen Willis together in one district. So one of them would have had to run and be at large, and the other one would have the district. And then the other part was they were going to merge 6 and 7 down here in off of the College Park, Bethsaida and Oakley district. There were so many different issues that came up because if you are, what I was told, and this was verified by Ledge Council, because we went there again this year, it came up. And I made sure Ledge Council was on speaker while we were in there. They took the old map that I had requested and we went through it detail by detail, issue by issue. So if you are actually running when this is done, we cannot shorten a person's time. So what happened several years ago, there was an election going on and the election was over. And so the two people that they wanted to put together, one's term would have been shortened. So we could not do it. That's just one of the problems. There were so many issues that came up, I backed out of it. And then when Representative Bruce and I sat down again this time, we were told, oh, it could be done, but it's going to be nasty and it's going to be very difficult. And we said, no, it's not worth it. So that was the end of trying to make that happen.
So that was the end of discussion, absolutely. And so I do want to thank you for sharing that information with us, as you heard it straight from the horse's mouth from a state legislator who is the governing body who would effectuate that. And I'm just going to leave with this, because this is in your area, and Congressman Scott did put 15 projects on the list for appropriation.
Yes.
And one of those is the South Metro Atlanta Affordable Housing Project. But that's the Southern Crestwood Habitat for Humanity to build additional buildings. We talked about that. One is for the South Fulton Police Department and the Violent Crime Reduction through Intelligence-Driven Policing Project. I pushed that from technology. But the other one is for Safe Roads to Transit Project for MARTA, to use that to plan, design, and construct pedestrian improvements at 46 sites in the identified District 13 project area. Mr. Bazemore, I just tell you, as the fine New Yorker that you are, you understand about pedestrian safety. And Highway 279 is a, how can I say that, is a not so safe haven for pedestrians. But at the corner or the intersection of Highway 279 and Flat Shows, it's four corners, as that the second wave of the sidewalks to be installed, can we get pedestrian bridge that goes around all four corners? Yeah, they're thinking like Vegas, and it goes from one side to the other, you know, the whole, get this, and it lights up at night. And the caveat is, you know, people can sit there and eat as well and just pass through and have lunch over the highway. After all, our economic development office is right there at the in that plaza where Walmart lies. Can you help us with that? Because at the end of the day, from an aerial view, when it lights up at night, the letter would be O. One city, one love. And get that, but I think that the pedestrians do deserve it, particularly at that intersection. And that is your intersection.
So I'm glad you did bring that up. And I would say, let's talk offline and see what is advantageous for that area. And let me say this, because I know everybody has listened and heard. I love the fact that you call me Sister Bazemore, because I do love the Lord. I also have a doctorate, and I'm also the president of my HOA. And I'm not going to go down the list because my children, my adult children, tease me all the time. They string along a whole host of titles, and I'm like, it's okay. It's quite all right. But I appreciate all of you. And if I can do anything, I have to put my information in there, the chat.
Please, and then share the contact on how to get in touch with you and how to get on your newsletter.
Oh, okay, great, because I have a newsletter. If it has not gone out, it will be going out.
Absolutely. And Sister Bazemore, I always do, and I really do appreciate your time. And so, only because this is virtual, we didn't have the real tips, steak and lobster for you. And so, next time.
That's all right.
Oh, please! I'll be remiss. Please come out with on Monday, May 1st. We will be in person, as we will be celebrating our birthday. We turn 6. Location to come near you, but we will be discussing sanitation.
Okay.
So please join us in person, if you don't mind.
Send me did you send me the information?
Not yet.
Okay, send me the information, please.
Yes,
and my AA will I tell her, put everything on my calendar, because this way I can see it. If I have a conflict, I will contact whomever.
Absolutely.
I will make it my business to be there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We love it, and we love you certainly. And was everybody able to get her contact information?
No, I'm looking now.
I just put in the phone number, and from there, that is my AA. She will get you anything you need. I instruct her, especially with the city of South Fulton. I say, you get any calls or you get anything, please get them what they need and then put them in contact with me.
And so that's her general. Like Tamiko Levitt is my general. She's all of that. You want me to get her, so I'm just saying this. You want it done, talk to her. And so, and she'll ensure that she gets it up the chain, and we make sure that we do what we need to do to achieve the objective. Right. And achieving the objective is ensuring that you, ladies and gentlemen, have the best quality of life ever. Because our mission is to provide exemplary customer service in a safe, innovative, and economic vibrant city. And inclusive. I'm sorry. And so, and that's our mission. So if nothing doesn't line up to the mission, then what are we doing? Because at the end of the day, we do want to say mission accomplished.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for the evening. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on this call. We are here each and every Monday, 6:30 to 7:30. Tamiko, do you have anything any announcements?
So we have the fruit tree giveaway in planning. This weekend is Earth Day. I'm sorry, the fruit tree giveaway. I forgot what Arbor Day. And we have the Earth Day events happening this weekend. We also have a senior health fair coming May 13th. I think that's the Saturday. It is Senior Health Month. And we have next week, Chief Meadows is our speaker for next week. I think that's it. We have some more events that we're working on, but we don't have all the details, so we'll tell you as soon as they are finalized. But those are the ones off the top of my head.
All right. Anybody in the community have an event coming up? HOA meeting, barbecue, fish fry, graduation, anything?
So I'm trying to schedule one with our association. I'll just have to follow up with them and let you know what day it's going to be.
I look forward to it, Miss Loretta.
Fairwood having cleanup day Saturday starting at 8:00.
Miss Johnson.
Yes.
Amen. Thank you so much for that. And so
we also have the Southside Environmental Justice Alliance. We're doing our cleanup in 2 weeks. We're trying to get rid of that toxic waste facility that is on Highway 92. So we definitely would appreciate all the help we can.
Please send me your flyers. I'll put it in the newsletter.
Yeah, what day is that?
That's gonna be not this coming weekend, but we're trying to do it for next weekend.
Next weekend, okay.
Toxic waste site. Well, let me just say this. With that, when you say that, sir, is I just think of our water and our stream. We do adopt the stream. So let's see if we can partner you with Girl Scouts #3802 who are certified in testing the water, because we must test up and downstream if it is a toxic waste site to ensure that does not get us our water supply.
Oh, that'll be perfect.
So we'll talk about that. And so
Yep.
But thank you for all the work that y'all are doing in that effort. And so keep it going. Keep us informed.
And
Hey,
Matt, question.
Councilman Tamiko, I had on my calendar that there's a HOA roundtable next week, or is it this week? Is that still scheduled?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
And speaking of, sister, go ahead, sister. Oh, yes, it is still scheduled. But go ahead, Sister Bazemore. You was about to say something?
I just wanted to ask Mario what the name of the company was, because I believe that we've been working on that.
That Clean Earth facility.
What's the name of it?
It's called Clean Earth. They changed their name to Clean Earth. It used to
they
be, I think,
changed their name.
Stericycle.
Yes.
I think it used to be Stericycle. Yep, it's that same facility. We
Okay.
are working with them, and we got a grant from the Emory University, and we've been working with the EPA. So we
Yes.
definitely need some help with some environmental justice warriors to be able to, like Councilman Reeves said, to clean up our streams, our air, and our water.
So again, that is one of my friends who is in that department. So if you need somebody to come out and test or do anything, let me know, please. And I'll just
Yes, I will definitely contact you about that, because Tish was working with us very closely on that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Yeah, I worked with him with the what's the dumping site that did not.
Oh yeah, that is right. I knew exactly what you're talking about.
On that for several years, and now, just so you all know, they are planning. I got the update that they are planning to. There's somebody that's going to buy the area and going to make sure everything is dumped and cleaned up prior to, and they have the money up front to do that. And so I was asking those that are in that area to just stand down until the end of the month, because that's what I was told, that the first leg was already taking place. And if we start making noise, the buyer will probably back out. So we can get it cleaned, and then he will use it for whatever it is zoned for also, but it will be clean.
Okay, that's
Absolutely.
great. Let's connect.
Okay.
And make sure and make ensuring that our water is clean. I'm going to keep harping on that, because we do understand that Jackson is real and exists, and that's one city in the whole state. So, ladies and gentlemen, too, as I just said, could you just answer this question for me, Representative Bazemore? Who regulates HOAs?
The state is supposed to. And what I found, that I've been the president here since 2006. The only reason why I keep doing it is because nobody else will take it on, and I refuse to live in a dump. However,
amen.
Yes, I will not. So there are not a lot of people that have an appetite to help HOAs to enforce their bylaws and covenants. And that's what I found. And it's disheartening, because you have those people that will do whatever they feel like doing. I mean, we can come up with some, like I said, innovative ways to force their hand. But at the same time, there's some horror stories out there. And this happened just this session. I mean, some of my colleagues were telling stories and getting in the well. And I was like, what? Where is that happening? And so because of that, then people are turned off from supporting those communities that have HOAs and that are trying to keep. I mean, I want the value of my home to continue to go up and not down. And so when you get a lot of renters in, their mindset, and I'm not trying to knock renters, but some of them are like, it's not my house, So it has become challenging. But the state, you have to submit the paperwork to the state, the Secretary of State. So I don't understand why they won't then give you the support you need.
Absolutely. And I suggested to a couple of people down there who lobbied and says, why don't y'all just change a couple of words in the language, and says, the percentage of owners that you have to mail it out to, if it's like 80%, Just change it to owner occupied. So whatever that percentage goes down to, then they're covered because from the owner occupiers who is in that community, and they're still vested. And so that's something that can be looked at as well. But I think that when it comes to the HOAs, you said something key. A lot of people don't enforce what they already have on the books.
That's right.
But then when they go through the fight, then they ask who wants to be the president, vice president. Don't nobody raise their hand.
That's right.
It's
Amen.
it's a situation that, you know, if you're going to fight for it, understand something that there's going to be a regime change. You have to have the people who are ready to step up.
I agree. Totally. I want to sit down, talk to some people in my subdivision. I have too much on my plate. But like I said, I will not live here dilapidated. You saw Summertree, what happened. And I was instrumental working with Bill Edwards. When I found out he was commissioner, I was like, no, we need this condemned. I got it condemned, went to zoning, went to everybody, and then got it demolished 4 years later through a court order. It was just so much going on over there. That was
absolutely. So,
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, we do have a person who has experience in dealing with the things that's necessary to move a community forward. So I appreciate you so much. I love the glasses, love the frames.
Thank you.
As you know, as Dr. Bazemore.
Thank you, sir.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good evening. If there's nothing else, I love you. You can't do nothing about it. Say something positive about the city, because you truly are the best part.
Bye.
Good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Oh, my hair.
It's okay. We're home.
It was funny.